2018 GoIndieNow travel further than it ever has before.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
This is when words collide.
So much for coming out to our 4th annual Diamond in the Rough Film Festival.
We're also grateful for all the friends that we met on this journey this year. But wait, there's more. Much more. Because it's always time to go indie now. Hello everybody, and welcome to another Time to Go Indie Now. It is I, your host, Joe Compton, and thank you so much for joining us, and as always, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and doing all that you do to make this show a success. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to bring you more. We've got some really cool segments coming up in this episode, and then in future episodes, we've got some new things that we're working on to put out there along with this show, and it's going to get bigger and better, and we are so excited for the future. We did have one small omission from the montage that you just saw to open our show. We decided that we need to cover another festival in 2018, like we needed another hole in our head. And that's exactly what we found. Another Hole in the Head Film Festival. It was a great time. It was an awesome experience, and you're about to see a little taste of it. There will be much, much more to come in the future. I have some sit-down interviews that I did with some of the filmmakers there. And it was just a very interesting and unique festival, and we were so glad to be a part of it, and we can't wait to be part of SF Indie Fest in January and going forward with this organization that puts on Another Hole in the Head. And with that, let's get on with our show, and I will be back at the end. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I think I made you assholes wait long enough.
Yeah!
how do I connect to the electronic dance scene in Front 2 for 2 and all that? Not exactly, but one of the things that they start on in this movie is that Wax Trax did not start in Chicago. It originally started as an especially wild used record store like nothing the Bay Area has ever seen in Denver. And growing up in Boulder, in the middle of, you know, when it was national ground zero testing ground for who was going to be the next Eagles or Firefall or whatever, this was a breath of fresh air. And then they sold the store, and the store in Denver's still good, moved to Chicago, opened another store, then the label, and the rise, the fall, and the remembrance and resurrection, as you will now see.
Yeah! Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Hole in the Head. Sorry for, we're starting a little bit late because people needed to find parking. Who knew it was hard to find parking in the city?
My father was the eldest brother of the family. Francis is his little brother by, 5 years. And my father was a great educator, great writer, but never was really kind of cherished by the father because, education and writing really wasn't that important. He was a major influence on his little brother, Francis. And he was a great teacher. I still run into students saying, man, your he meant everything to me. And he was the Dean of Creative Arts at San Francisco State. I wanted to honor him in a big way by teaching. I do think I'm a good teacher. I didn't want to teach for a while because there's a lot of film teachers in Hollywood that teach after they don't make it, and they bring that bitterness to the classroom. You suck! You can't write a screenplay. Don't even think. I've heard this from students. That's not how you teach. Right? You create sparks. You give hope. And you don't put up roadblocks. So I'm teaching now because of him, to honor him, but I'm still making movies at the same time, so I don't feel like a failure as a teacher. It's more about the teaching. I do not want to teach thinking I can't do my own art. It's very important as a teacher to do that, especially in the arts.
Come on out here, Joel. And Dale is here too.
Howdy. I gave him that, but of course there's so much interview footage, including the current owners of the Denver store who didn't even get in, and they didn't even interview Reed Hyams of Last Temptation of Reed fame, the completely clueless recording studio owner who had no idea of all the stuff that was going on in his studio all the time. All his employees plotted against him because he was really weird with money, and anyway.
We are at the amazing facility, Nassar, about to experience some VR technology with the Another Hole in the Head Film Festival. You can see this place is massive, and this is just an amazing experience. So tell us how the festival went for you, in your opinion.
I think it was fantastic. Actually, a lot of great films. It's been hectic trying to stay on schedule. We're 30 minutes late for the closing film, which is just about right for us. Welcome to Another Hole in the Head on our final night. How many people have been here since opening night? Yeah. Awesome. We're almost finally done, but we have a couple of really great shows tonight. Actually, I might be lying about the second one. I don't preview any of these films before the festival, but there are just a couple of shows we played twice, and this is one of them. This is the second screening of this movie. So I have actually seen this before, and I can actually guarantee you're gonna have an awesome night.
This year, the festival went, it's probably the best it's been in since we left the Rocks. Attendance went up like crazy. Everybody's having a great time. All the filmmakers are enjoying the time. The shows they weren't empty at all. They were full. I was really happy.
Nice.
Really happy. And yeah, it was a good 2 weeks. It went by really fast.
But what can we look forward to in the 60th annual? What change are you thinking about making right away?
We're going to add a lot of art experimental. There's going to be more VR.
Nice.
We're adding way more VR this year because we're going to start doing that in January. And we're ramping up VR, and we're going to have the same place, New People Cinema, and it's going to start on Black Friday.
We could also give it up for Another Hole in the Head for actually showcasing original and
Hi everyone, and happy holidays. I am really excited because I've heard a rumour that Uncle Joe's going to let me out of my cellar for the holiday period, and he's going to let me lie down in front of the Christmas tree. And I've heard a whisper that he's actually going to give me a bone to gnaw on. Oh, how awesome.
Ho. Ho. Ho.
Okay, I'm here with some horror hacks for you. Well, maybe not hacks, they're creepy hacks with horror related gifts I've found. Are you ready? Okay, we're going to get started. Now, do you have one of those annoying friends that are always at your doorstep, always around? Or maybe you've got a girlfriend that you want to split up with, but in the age of text, it's just so not on to do that. I've got the perfect way to do things. Okay, invite him/her around, okay, and have the table laid out beautifully. This also helps if you have a black dinner set. Then light this beautiful, as you can see, brain-shaped candle. Yep. Oh, think of their faces when they see that. And then tell them that you've got a special meal planned because you are so excited to have them around that tonight you're going to be having liver with fava beans and some Chianti. Yep. I guarantee you won't see those friends again, or maybe your girlfriend will find some way to split up with you, or your boyfriend. And here's another bonus hack for you. Have some artificial blood discreetly scattered along the floor into the kitchen. That works really well. Okay ladies, now I know how annoying it is that you go out with your girlfriends and you're sitting at the bar and you're hit on with some sleazy guy. Okay, there's nothing worse, believe me, it happens to me all the time. Okay, well here's something that can help to get rid of those sleaze balls, okay? Now, before you go out, make sure you're wearing your beautiful skeletal earrings. Now, when some sleazeball comes up to you at the end of the night, after they've had a few drinks to make them feel more comfortable, okay, discreetly push your hair back, and if they don't ask about your earrings, lead the conversation and say, do you like my earrings? And of course, being sleazeballs and trying to score, they will say yes, and you have to just laugh and say, oh, thank you so much. Do you know the hardest part was going to the graveyard and finding bones that were small enough to make them with. You won't see that guy again, okay? And you'll be able to enjoy the rest of your night with your girlfriends in peace, okay? Now, here's another one to creep someone out. Perhaps you have door-to-door salesmen, or like, once again, maybe you've got people that keep coming around and annoy you. Okay, then make sure that you have this beautiful plaque placed on your wall, okay? Now, that is going to creep them out, for sure. But to make the effect even better, get yourself one of those decors or decals that you can put on the floor that look like a hole in the floor. Then they're going to look at that and they are going to be so creeped out that they will leave, okay? That's especially effective for guests that overstay their welcome, okay? Well, there you go. There's just a few holiday Christmas hacks for you. There's so many more, but I don't have time because I have to get back to my cell and make myself ready for the holidays. I'm so looking forward to this bone. I am so sick of cockroaches, I'll tell you. So, from Michael J. Elliot, horror author, YouTuber, and just general horror nerd, thank you so much for watching, and I'd like to wish you and your family, whatever you're celebrating, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, all the best, and I will see you guys in the new year. Bye for now.
Hello everyone, this is Okubo for GoIndieNow. Welcome to my indie movie reviews, and I want to show you some things here. This is the light that I use when I record these videos. This is the mic that I use, which is not connected right now. This is one of the laptops I use when I record these videos. The reason why I'm showing you all this stuff is very simple. We make videos every day and we don't even realize it. But as creators, as indie creators, you know, we want to get our message out. Whether it be cave paintings, whether it be ink blots, whether it be writing in the snow. However you want to tell your story to get it out to the people. And every one of us has become kind of a mini filmmaker of our own personal lives. Well, our phones can be used for much more than that. And for that, I bring you today's film, Night Fishing. 2011 film from Korean directors, I want to pronounce these names correctly, Park Chan-wook and Park Chun-kyung. This film is a very unique film. And finding films for my topic today about filming with phones, making movies with the phones that you have in your own hand right now. This film was filmed on an iPhone 4, and it stars Lee Jung-kwon, an idol singer, and Oh Kwon-rok. And it's a story about a fisherman. And most films that are filmed like this, and most indie films are about serious topics. This one is not different, but it's the end of the year, and I wanted to have a film that would signify such a great passing between time and what the years mean. And this film captures it, I think, in the best way. It's a great story involving family, involving love of family, involving reconciliation. And I really recommend this film to everybody to watch. It is on YouTube, and you will find it in other places on your popular streaming sites. It's a 2011 film called Night Fishing. And let's talk a little bit about the characters. The cast is very small. The main, Mr. O, he's the fisherman. And Lee plays two parts. She plays the main temple personality, and I don't know what they are in that religion's temple. And she also plays kind of like a communication point. And it really delves deep into what a family is and what we should do. And you're going to find these great actors and doing some great things in this film. And with that, I would like to say, have a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Please enjoy it. This is Okubo at GoIndieNow. Have a great end of year, and I hope to see you guys all back next year.
Today is gonna be a little something more. I've got a plan in mind, a special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day. It's my lucky day, my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot or to be told. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day.
So, greetings fellow humans and welcome to another indie music review. If you hear little frogs chirping, that means that I'm in Puerto Rico. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do my indie music review. This is actually the review of the full album of Beat Obsolete, which I already did a preview of the band. I listened to a short demo, 2 tracks, and I was like, wow, I'm really looking forward to this. And I was right. This is pretty intense in the best way. If you like Black Flag, if you like elements of Fugazi, if you like punk that pulls no punches, that is political. That has crunching guitars, thumping bass, thumping drums, and just is in your face and full on intense. You gotta check this album out. I am so happy that they came out with the album before the year was up. Again, highly political, but I can't say I disapprove in the slightest. Tracks are Beat Obsolete, Satan is President, Civilized War, Kofifi, Citywide Destruction, and you get the gist. If you're gonna go surf, if you're gonna ride BMX, if you're gonna skateboard, if you're gonna ride rollerblades, if you're gonna run, if you need to work out, if you need something that gets your adrenaline pumping and makes you wanna tear a hole in a wall, Beat Obsolete. So I just feel such satisfaction when I hear the crunchy, aggressive funk. The same with metal, the same with good rock that just gets your adrenaline pumping. And this definitely gets your blood pumping. So, enjoy it. It's always time to go indie now. And until next time, peace, love, and mock your rolls.
Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another marketing tip. Today I want to talk about the importance of business cards. Now, you might think, well, I'm just starting out and I don't have many books. Do I really need a business card? And you may think, well, I do most of my marketing online. Well, that's all well and good. It's good to have an online marketing presence, but it's also good to have an in-person marketing presence, a local presence. If you go to any sort of book signing or convention, you want to have something that you can give out to people, whether that be flyers, business cards, little inserts for your books. But you can also put those up locally at the laundromat. You can put them up at the post office. Different little boards that you can stick them around at. There's some different businesses where you can leave your business card there. And just if you make personal connections with somebody, say you're at the doctor's office or you're at somewhere where you're having to wait in line, and you strike up a conversation with someone, and they happen to read the genre that you write, and they want to check out your books. Well, an easy way for them to remember you is by giving your business card to them. So always have your business card on you. I actually, where I have Fiction Atlas and I've got my personal CL Canon author thing going on, I actually have two different things that I do for that. And let's see, I've got this, which is a big insert that I stick in every single one of the books that I send out from Fiction Atlas. And it's got all my social media on there and my website and our slogan. Then I've also got one for my author stuff. It's got all of my author social media on there. And then I've got a business card. It's all shiny, that I can give out for people just when I'm out. Now, where do you get these business cards? There's plenty of different places online that you can get them, but I like to go through Vistaprint. They've always done really well for me, and you can always catch sales over there, so you can get a whole bunch of these. I've got stacks and stacks of these things that I got for really cheap. I also got some stickers. Let me show you my stickers. And I put these on all the packages when I send them out, on the back of my little mailer envelopes. And I always put this and this in all the books that I send out. So it's really simple and easy to create these. This one actually was created with a template, and this business card was created with a template. And I actually designed this one myself, but it's really, there's lots of drag and drop features. It's very, very easy to get those designed. And if you need someone to design them, there's actually a lot of services out there that will do them for fairly cheap. I know that at Fiction Atlas I do that as well. So that's my tip for this month. You're going to be seeing people in real life, and the best way for them to remember you is if they have something physical that they can call back to, because, you know, the memory is not the best thing. Sometimes you'll meet somebody and they'll introduce themselves. Their name is George, and by the time you've gotten home, what was their name? Jason? Henry? No, and you've completely forgotten their name. And even if that's something that, you know, even if you put it on a piece of paper or write it down, those things are easily lost. This is something they could easily pop into their wallet. So anyway, that's my tip for this month. I hope it helps you guys. If you have any questions, you can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com, and I'll answer any questions that you have. All right, that's it this month. I'll see you next month. Bye.
Hello and welcome to this month's review. So this month I reviewed The Fires of Lothia, which is the Cold Book Saga Part 2 by Catherine Bryant. So this novel is a high fantasy and the sequel in the series. The first book in the series is called Branna's Song. So here's the blurb for Fires of Lothia. In the year following the rescue of her brother, Branna tries without much success to adapt to her new life in Coldwood. But when war spills onto her doorstep, she is forced to flee the battle-ravaged land with her husband and overbearing brother-in-law. Dodging enemy soldiers isn't the only obstacle Branna has to contend with. Enemies both near and far threaten her plans to reunite with her brother Orin and friend Sahil to seek safety beyond the borders of Lothia. So this is the story of Branna, who in the first book was married off to a young nobleman for alliance purposes. So what I gather from the first book, since this is the sequel, is that she is very against being told what to do and lived as a warrior and lived as she wanted to for about a year before getting married. Her husband is much better than what she anticipated, and his wedding gift to her was a sword, so he seems to understand her nature. But a big part of the conflict seems to be that she is expected to forget her family ties in favor of her new family. Her and her husband are trying to have a cordial relationship with each other, but she is very independent, and it's not easy for her to just follow along with his wishes. We see this right away as his family castle is under siege, and she is trying to talk him and his family into leaving to survive, dressed, of course, in breeches and chainmail. We also see a lot of conflict between her and her brother-in-law. He is very much the epitome of the patriarchy and is always trying to put her in her place or is just dismissive of her because she is a woman. He is very much the antagonist, even though he is on their side as they try to reach safety. So this book starts with what I would phrase as extremely solidified characters. I feel like I missed out on some stuff with not reading the first book, but the characters are solid and extremely well defined. You know what they think and how they should act, and they're not wishy-washy at all. I really like having strong and well-defined characters I can get to know, so that's definitely a plus in this book. It also has a nice balance to it. Due to the time period it's written in, you see this genuine struggle for balance between her independent nature and her need to appease her husband's family. But you don't lose any respect for her when she does acquiesce to them. Bryant does a good job of balancing the characters' personalities with her obligations without making Branna seem like a weaker character. And I really like this because it wouldn't be realistic that she would butt heads with them over every little thing just to get her way. So you don't lose respect for the protagonist when she's diplomatic, but it's very practical. The writing style is easy to read, and it's a really fast read. I was a little surprised it had ended when it did, since I was anticipating it to be longer as a fantasy, but the ending made sense and leaves room for the next book in the series. If you're looking for an easy weekend read, this is a great book to power through, and I'm interested in reading the first one to get to know Branna a little better. I think I would have liked this book better if I had read Branna's Song first, but there's good characters and character development and plenty of action to enjoy. So I would recommend checking this book out, but perhaps starting with Branna's Song before you read this one. Thank you and have a great day.
Hi there, I'm Suzy Vadori, the author of the Fountain series, and today I'm really excited to be talking about my 4th annual campaign to deliver books in December in support of Kids Help Phone, which is a really important service. It's 24/7 counseling available across Canada to youth who need help. They can answer just about any question you like. And so what I'm doing is my books, The Fountain and The Westwoods, they are young adult books, and they are awesome mysteries, and they have a little bit of romance in them as well. And in the fountain, 16-year-old Ava, she moves from San Francisco to New England to find out more about her mom, who died when she was 10. And when she gets there, her reputation's preceded her and the kids aren't very nice. And all kinds of crazy things happen to poor Ava. She gets really upset. And she runs out into the woods, kind of like the ones I'm sitting in right now. And she makes a wish on a fountain that she finds there that one of the girls that she just met had never existed. And when she returns to the boarding school that she attends, the girl is gone and absolutely everything in her whole life is different. Even her own family changes. So I'm going to do a quick reading today, and since it's snowing out, I hope you guys can actually see the softly falling snow. I'm going to do a reading about, so she wishes her friend away, and all kinds of crazy things happen at the school, and she meets this boy named Ethan, and he is helping her trying to make this right. And they decide they're under a lot of scrutiny. They've gotten into a lot of trouble at school. They are not allowed to go into the West Woods, but it's snowing one night and they think that they can get away with going out there. Now, Ava's just moved from California, remember, and she actually she's never been in snow, and she doesn't have the right clothing. And so she's out there in the middle of the woods and not having an awesome time. So I'm going to read to you from that. Chapter 28, Blizzard. Swirling snow swept up under the branches of the tree Ava huddled near, stinging her face. It fell so thickly she could barely see the tree beside her. Squinting into the white mess, she wondered how this journey had seemed so urgent a few short hours ago. Why on earth would people choose to live in a climate like this, she thought to herself. Ava's eyes played tricks on her with distances. The flakes could be an inch from her nose or a foot. It was impossible to tell in the dim light. The swirl of snow was disorienting. She brought her phone up to her face to check the time, her cold fingers trying to unlock the touchscreen. Her breath hung in an eerie cloud between her and the phone. I can actually see my breath. I don't know if you guys can see it. She tucked her hands up against her frozen cheeks, which didn't offer much warmth. Ava? Ethan's voice rang out in the direction of the dorm wall. Over here, Ava called through chattering teeth. Ava, what on earth? Ethan said as he appeared, as if from a dream out of the snow, huge flakes clinging to his woolen hat. How long have you been out here? Ava shrugged, and Ethan sprang into action, putting his own scarf around her neck. He stood back and looked at her warily, as if she might collapse at any moment. She noticed with envy that he wore a thick down coat and sturdy winter boots. His hat had flaps that covered his ears. Like mine. She stood with her arms crossed over her chest. Here, Ethan said, pulling off his gloves and handing them to her. Take mine, they're warm. Ava tugged them on as he produced a second pair out of his coat pocket and slid them onto his hands. Don't you own a winter jacket? He asked incredulously, eyeing her corduroy fall coat. I've never needed one before, Ava replied, her voice trembling with cold, but I'm fine, really, let's go. Ava couldn't wait another moment to get to the fountain. She tried to stop her knees from shaking. She wasn't turning back. I don't know if we should, said Ethan, looking her up and down. Ava, are those rain boots? Really? Ava insisted, hoping her brave tones sounded convincing. I'll be fine once we start walking. We should probably jog to warm you up, said Ethan, still looking apprehensive. Well, come on if we're going. He took off across the lawn at a light jog, waving for her to follow. Ava looked at the hollows, his footsteps left in the snow for a long moment. Far from the snow hiding them, Ava had just realized their footsteps would be obvious to anyone who wanted to follow. Taking another brief look around the deserted, snowy campus, she felt comforted by the curtain of white hiding anything further than 2 feet from her view. She hurried in the direction that Ethan had gone, using his footsteps in the snow as a guide. He'd been swallowed whole by the white cloud ahead. Ethan seemed pretty sure of where he was going, despite the poor visibility. Ava wondered just how many times he'd been to the clearing since she'd shown it to him in September. Circulation tried to return to her fingers as she jogged to keep up, and her feet seemed to have gone numb in her floppy boots. Ethan stopped just inside the trees of the woods to let her catch up. Ava was glad for the chance to catch her breath. It was still cold, but the wind didn't bite here, and the snow was lighter, though fog filled the spaces between the flakes, still making it difficult to see. You sure you're okay? Asked Ethan, searching her face. I'm fine, she answered, though her feet shot pins and needles of numbness with every step. The canopy of trees in the woods kept out any moonlight that might have gotten past the snow. Ethan pulled his flashlight out of his coat pocket and shone its beam on the path. Its eerie glow shot out in all directions, dispersed into the wall of falling snow. They walked in silence, Ava concentrating on controlling her shivers. When they reached the clearing, Ethan swung the light in a wide arc. The beam magnified itself on each snowflake and bounced back, bathing them in his glow. She almost felt her cheeks shrink at the thought of stepping out from under the trees and into the heavy snow once again, though it did look beautiful. The light cast a virtual snow globe around them, each flake sparkling in its wake. Tilting her head, she thought maybe the beauty of the snow was what made people live here. And I'll stop right there. You guys will have to find out what happens when they get to the clearing when you read the books. The Fountain's been twice nominated now for an Aurora Award, which is Canada's premier science fiction and fantasy award, as well as been awarded Reader's Favorite 5 stars out of the States and a bronze medal for Best Young Adult Fiction. Oh, I've got that one upside down. So if you guys are interested in getting books, you can order them from me at suzyvadori.wordpress.com. And thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a really happy holidays.
Hey everyone, my name is Lynz Crichton and I'm a songwriter. I wrote this song called The Circus as a soundtrack to the book Hidden Colours, and I am just as excited to read the book as you are. Hope you enjoy the song. It's like a soundtrack, as I said, so as you're reading the first chapter, you can pop the song on in the background and have a little bit of music while you read. Or if you don't like music when you're reading, you could just read the book. But here it is anyway.
Hi, I'm Nillu Nassar and I'm a writer from London. I'm really pleased to be here on GoIndieNow. I write literary fiction, and my stories are set in rich settings and tend to be from the perspective of an outsider. My second novel is Hidden Colours, which was published on the 3rd of December. It's the story of Yusuf, the Syrian acrobat, and Ellie, the German journalist, and how their paths crossed at the immigrant circus in Berlin. The scene that I'm going to be reading from is early on in the book, and it's when the circus is nearing its finale, and everyone's a bit nervous. The circus is backed by Silberling, who's a German politician, and he's in the audience, and the performers are also nervous because there's been minor aggressions against the circus and they don't feel welcome. So here we go. It was time to take to the stage. In they all ran, beasts and performers alike, springing, turning, waving to the crowd, singing for their supper. Silberling, too, became merely one of the audience as the performers threw batons into the air and the goats danced and the skirts became a whir of colour. The girls threw small squares of tissue paper into the stands, which in the blink of an eye transformed into sapphire butterflies flecked with copper. The men blew into their cupped hands and bubbles emerged and floated away, growing ever larger until they popped over the heads of the audience in a burst of raindrops. "Isn't this just fantastic?" said Emir the ringmaster into the microphone in the midst of them all, his shirt straining across his belly as he hopped in excitement from one leg to another. The final moment approached, in which Emir pulled a lever that released a flurry of multicoloured foils over the audience, never failing to make the children squeal with delight. He pulled the lever, but it stuck fast. Emir tugged it again to unleash the nets at the top of the tent. An avalanche of paper balls covered in stark print came turning through the air. Emir's mouth gaped and he cried out, dismayed at the unwelcome surprise. Not one of them had noticed the change in the contents of the net that morning. The performers stuttered to a halt. The band momentarily lost its rhythm. Silberling security men emerged from the shadows. The audience clutched at the dirty projectiles as they tumbled through the air and onto laps. Silberling too unfolded his spidery legs and reached for a paper ball as if it were a fortune cookie to be read. He unravelled it, eyes hooded as he read the page, mouth curled in displeasure. Yusuf's ribcage contracted as if the air had suddenly become thinner. He didn't need to read the words. The sabotage spoke for itself, but he couldn't help himself. He grasped a ball, unpeeled it, and read, dirty rat. And another, thieves, we don't want you here. There, in the majestic tent full of possibility, oceans away from the troubles of his past, amidst the sweat and the sawdust, despite their talent and commitment, Yusuf knew the circus and its people to be pawns in a game of power and perceptions. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Here it is again, Hidden Colours. I hope you'll look it up, that you'll buy it, and please do get in touch to let me know what you think. You can contact me on my website. And thank you again for having me go indie now. Bye.
There you go. That was the circus. Hope you enjoyed it. And now go and enjoy reading Hidden Colours. Bye for now. Comes when the circus comes to town.
Hey guys, Katie Salidas here, and I am so excited that I'm releasing the third book in my Agents of Asset series, Magic in Disguise. And so I'm going to do a little reading from chapter 2 for you. Hopefully that'll pique your interest and maybe you'd like to pick up the book. This is book 3 in the trilogy, so it will complete the trilogy. You definitely want to read books 1 and 2 beforehand, because otherwise you'll be really lost. So, alright, let's see if I can do this. Chapter 2. All the eagerness that she'd had to get back to work evaporated the moment Sage had breached the threshold of Ava's office. Her boss sat busy as ever behind a wall of her laptop, shuffling piles of paper from her overflowing inbox to another stack of documents towering on the other side of her desk. Ava either had not noticed her come in, or, as Sage suspected, was playing a game of dominance. "You wanted to see me?" Sage called out. Ava's head popped up. Her turquoise eyes narrowed as she inspected Sage from head to toe. If only Terrace had been gifted with mind reading. Ava Masters had a poker face better than anyone Sage had ever seen. Mouth set in a hard, flat line, no hints of a smile or smirk, no body language to signal her intentions. Ava kept her posture neutral as ever as her gaze traveled towards their target, Sage's gloved hand. "Shut the door and sit," Ava barked the order, and Sage found herself jumping from sudden shock. Ava set down her pages and closed the laptop, then folded her arms and waited for Sage to do as she was told. Every movement felt calculated and controlled, more so than usual, almost as if Ava had some apprehension about being in the room with Sage. But that couldn't be possible. Ava didn't strike her as the type who feared anything, and even if she did, she'd never show it. All the posturing left a bitter taste in Sage's throat. Tests, that's what this was. But what were they testing? How was she supposed to act? Some days she regretted telling Mark that she couldn't work with him. Back home in Phoenix, he'd been like a surrogate father, never too busy to stop what he was doing. He always greeted her with warmth. He made her feel comfortable. She could come to him with anything. Ava held the same top position in the Vegas office, but her approach to being the head honcho was more despot than director. "Enjoying your vacation, Miss Sinrig?" Ava's tone was anything but casual. I wouldn't exactly call it a vacation." Sage struggled to control the tremble in her voice. This felt too much like a trap. She turned sideways, looking at Gray, but he hadn't taken the other seat. It wasn't meant to be. Ava's shrill reply worked like a slap to the face, refocusing Sage's attention back on her boss. "Have you sorted out your domestic situation?" "Do you need me here?" Gray hovered near the chair, as if expecting to be told to vacate it the moment his cheeks hit the cushion. "I can wait outside." "Sit, Mr. Maddox." Ava pointed to the other chair with her perfectly manicured finger. "I'll get to you in a moment." Her response evoked an immediate reaction, and like a well-trained pup, he took the chair, leaving Sage to wonder exactly how bad his week with Ava had been. Maybe she had gotten the better punishment after all. Ava cleared her throat, and Sage snapped to attention. Yeah, Domestic situation. It's, being managed, Sage answered. I believe I'm ready to return to work. You'll return when I say. Ava held out her hand. Show me your palm, please. At least she asked nicely. Sage pulled her glove off and held out her damaged hand for inspection. Ava snapped it up with the speed of a viper and yanked her forward with such strength that Sage nearly came out of her seat. The poker face faltered. Ava's expression shifted between curiosity and concern. The longer she scrutinized Sage's palm, the worse it got. She knew it was bad, but for her boss to let slip the control she had over her expression was truly telling. Darkness that had started as a small spot marking the place where the seed had embedded itself had grown, slowly stretching out in all directions as it claimed new territory across her hand. The epicenter remained black as pitch, lightening just the recently deadened skin. Like bruises, her hand was splotched purple and blue. The outer areas of the seed's reach had turned yellow, not quite succumbing to the darkness, but clearly losing the fight. All of it a stark contrast to the creamy color of her undamaged skin. Her hand was dying, slowly, but dying all the same. A truth that Sage didn't want to admit aloud. The black mark had grown from nothing in the space of a week, and she had felt the scream of every nerve before being silenced. How long would it be before her whole body was covered by this cursed black mark, and what would become of her when it did? I'm assuming there's pain to match the outward symptoms, Ava said without an ounce of sympathy in her voice. Manageable, I expect? Better when I'm clear of magic, but not so at other times. I'd like to run a few tests. Ava dropped Sage's hand, letting it crash to her desk. Gray leaned in, resting his chin on his hands. He could have warned her this was going to happen, at least give her a heads up that she was becoming a lab rat. Falling into the trap of self-pity was too easy, though. A temptation that she'd been struggling with for the last week. But maybe she'd been looking at it wrong. Maybe Ava didn't know all. Maybe she needed to be the lab rat. Yes, Sage nodded to herself. Let's work towards a cure and stay positive. And that's where we'll stop for now. It's actually only half of the second chapter, but if it's piqued your interest, hopefully you'll want to read more and find out exactly what is destroying Sage's hand and possibly killing her. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys. If you like this, I might actually post a few more of these, but let me know. Post something in the comments, reach out to me on Facebook, and tell me if you want me to read a little bit more from Magic in Disguise or any of the Agents of Asset chapters. Bye.
Tear down the walls of hatred and fear. Make all your calls, let everyone hear. We don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to live with this anymore. Do you believe? Do you feel that love is real? Love trumps power. Love trumps power. Hear what the people say. Tear down the walls today. Tear down the walls today. Tear down the walls. Tear down the walls today. Tear down the walls today.
Hi, I'm Carmilla Voiez, and Joe has kindly allowed me to read a little bit from one of my books, Starblood. Starblood has recently been relaunched, is available on Kindle and will also follow in paperback soon, or the trilogy in one volume is also available in paperback format. A fourth book is currently being written, and that will be called Ribbons. So we start here with chapter 2, which is where we really get to see our antagonist, who's just been brought to Earth by Satori, a jealous ex-lover of Star who wants to try and keep her. Heels click against stone. Lilith strides along the city street. She has no coat, but does not feel chilled by the autumn air. Long legs carry her swiftly past vacated office buildings and busy eateries. The smells of burnt cooking oil and chicken invade her nostrils. A few of the customers stare as she rushes past the windows. Let them look, she doesn't blame them. Her voluptuous pout is drawn in scarlet, and the trace of a sneer tugs the corners of her lips downwards. Her pillar-box red hair and beautiful face lend her the look of a comic book superhero, while her near nudity suggests high-class prostitute. Cars crawl past her as she heads out of town. Glazed eyes stare through half-open windows. She keeps walking, head held high, returning no more than the briefest glance. Each car keeps moving, matching her pace for a while, then accelerating away. She quickens her steps, eager to leave the dark room and weeping boy far behind. The evening has left a strange hollowness inside her chest. He had acted as though she was not what he wanted. His whispered pleas for forgiveness still burrow through her mind, and that name repeated over and over again, Star. The busy city is behind her now. Darkened factories and warehouses line the street, remnants of Victorian wealth. The only light comes from the full moon above that stares down in silence. She is almost there. At first she doesn't register the heavy footsteps keeping in time with her own. She is lost in dreams of adventure and freedom. Then, as she rounds a corner, she sees a dark shape dart into shadow. Listening now, she hears the slap of leather on tarmac as the stranger speeds up. She varies speed, but her pursuer keeps pace. She turns again and heads along a narrow alleyway, shoes crushing glass as they fall. The stranger is closer now. She can smell him. His odour of fresh and stale sweat mixes with the scent of his sex. He is excited. The closeness of him fills her head. Her pulse quickens and her saliva tastes metallic. It is hard to formulate a plan while clicking her way between broken concrete blocks and steel girders. Her heels slip over the uneven ground. The pain of her ankle twisting makes her swear. She looks behind, into the darkness. The footsteps have stopped trying to keep pace with her, and are beginning to gain ground. Then he is so close she can feel his breath in her hair. He whispers insults as though they are terms of endearment. You're so beautiful, bitch. Fucking whore. Worthless slut. We're going to have some fun. Her legs and arms feel heavy, as though they belong to someone else. She pushes forward in spite of her aching limb. His menace taints the air. I know you want me. I can smell your filthy cunt from here, my love. I'll make you scream for more, then I'll gut you like a fish. Breathing deeply, she sucks strength from the dust-filled oxygen. The flat edge of a cold blade presses against her throat. She freezes. The hunter pushes himself against her back, and she feels the rough denim of his jeans scratch against her. His left hand fumbles between her thighs, pawing at the underwear beneath her skirt. The metal of his watch scratches between her legs. Pulse hammers against the tooth of the knife. He growls in her ear and reverses his hold. The thumb and forefinger of his left hand now squeeze her throat as his knife tears at her panties. The lace tangles itself around the knife, falling away like broken cobwebs. He lifts the knife and holds it, almost tenderly, against her breast, then plunges the fingers of his left hand inside her. The shock of the sudden invasion makes her gasp. She can feel his rough fingers searching within her. Her eyes close and she imagines tearing his hand from his body. Metal pierces her skin as she struggles. A thread of crimson trickles down her chest, and she sees the cold blade flash inside her mind. She lifts her face towards the moon and smiles.
You should know me well enough by now. My stories never have happy endings. The devil is real.
I'm so sorry. I have something for you.
Go with God.
What else did you see on those tapes?
They're on to you, boy. Be careful, okay? Let's continue, shall we?
You want to see crazy? Cause you ain't seen nothing yet! Are we having fun yet, Michael?
Well, that was fun. Story time's over.
Well, it's time to spruce this tree up. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. What we got here is Crippleton. Here you go, Snowflake. Now use a pickle flake. No stirring, not even a mouse. But I got one extra pickle to dangle in front of my mouth. Ooh, Hans is gonna want one of them. What's this? What we got here? Oh, it opens up. What are these things here? Tea was the night before Christmas. When all throughout the house. All through the house. I'm getting it, haunted. Not a creature was stirring. Not even a moose? He's like a Hans man devil.
I'll tell you what, Cousin Bumpkin. Ain't nothing good this year. Unless you want Hans in the box. Say, Cousin Bumpkin, it's important to remember the true meaning of Christmas. It's about eating sweeties, getting drunk. You just gotta drink more. That's all you gotta do. It makes the family business better.
Mama, come on, Santa Claus.
That's all there is to it. If you ain't having a good Christmas, it's because you ain't drinking enough. Pour some sugar.
Oh my God!
That's not Santa Claus.
What the heck are you doing in my house? Get out of my house! Get out of here! I wanna go to the house! Get out of my house! Get out of my house! Get out!
911 emergency.
advised, we have a pursuit in progress. Units on non-essential calls directed to clear and stand by to assist. Central to all units. Officers require assistance.
Roger that. 1071 received. Aerial pursuit unit, you're clear to engage.
'18 was a very, very nice year for GoIndieNow. Obviously, we grew in not only the shows we produced, but in the way that we produced them. We made some changes midstream. We did a couple different things here and there, and we're trying out even more things. We've got more platforms that we're going to be covering in 2019, where we're going to extend our reach to the indie community. And we, of course, won't forget that there's always this show and all the shows that we produce that have been successful that we're going to keep on doing. We have another coffee break season coming up, and that is going to be taking place on Instagram, on our Instagram TV channel. So I'm real excited about that. That'll be happening very soon. And, of course, we'll be out and about again next year in 2019 doing some traveling. We've got already some festivals lined up. We've got more things to come. Hopefully, as the year goes on, like this year did, we'll have more opportunities present itself and take you on the journey with us for those opportunities. I wanted to once again thank every single one of you who have watched this show, who like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And please do comment. Let us know the things that you're really enjoying about the show. If you have a question, please feel free to post it, and I will make sure that if it's not a question for me, that whoever it's a question for will get you the answer. We would love for you to share this video with whoever you'd like and post it wherever you'd like. We appreciate everything that you all do to get the word out. Just remember that it's always time to go indie now. And we'll see you again soon, everybody. All right. We've got some great shows lined up in the future, and I can't wait to show them to you. All right, everybody. Take care.